Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Anybody that's new, welcome. My name is Debbie, I'm the Crafty Shopper. Today we are going to make a Jenga block light up skeleton head. I came up with a little bit of a design last year and Christmas was kind of approaching fast and I didn't follow through, so I kind of revisited the idea of making one. And I know I've had a few requests for one over the last couple months, so we are going to do it today. Excuse my desk mat's a little bit dirty. I haven't had time to clean it. I've just been glad to be back crafting, and I'm really excited to get a couple more ideas of Halloween before we start Christmas, and then it'll be Christmas right through until near Christmas, about a week before Christmas. So I have a bunch of ideas. I can't wait to share them all with you guys. I always appreciate suggestions because sometimes requests, because sometimes I like to sits in my head and then I get an idea and I like to do them. So I don't really have them planned out. There's a couple that I want to do, a couple more Halloween that I'm excited to do. I just haven't got around to it yet, but we're going to start with this one today. We are going to use the tumbling tower, aka Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. These are found in the toys section. They do sell out fast. Sometimes they move them on end caps in the Dollar Tree store. So ask a manager, even if you're in the US, sometimes I know my staff in a couple Dollar Trees by my house are really great when you're looking for something. I usually have a few of them that will text me when I know exactly what I'm looking for. Hey, I think we got what you're looking for. My Dollar Tree is really slow at getting stock out for seasonal, so they're still putting out Halloween stuff, and I'm just gonna go a couple more weeks and I'm done. So you can order them online if they're US. Just check the Dollar Tree website. Dollar Tree website also gives a shipping discount for you every once in a while in your email. So sign up with them. Here in Canada, we gotta shop in the store only. I hope they change that someday. Gonna use an L-shaped ruler and carpenter ruler, square ruler, whatever you want to call it. It's good to keep your blocks. Now I do pre-glue my blocks prior to going through with the numbers with you. It's not fully glued, but obviously I just go in sections. I always suggest getting a pen and paper or starting the video, and when you're ready to start gluing the blocks, and can write down the numbers on a piece of paper as well. I've started this a while ago with stacked and flat, and I'm just going to go briefly over it with you. Flat means just when the thinner side of the block is glued to another block beside it, and this is flat. When I say stacked, it means the wider section is glued to one another and it's just stacked on one on top of each other. When you're gluing blocks like this, I just find it's easier to move around on your mat as you go when you're gluing them, and it keeps them nice and straight. I do not ever suggest using hot glue unless it's a piece or two, gluing them together, because the blocks won't seal properly, nice and tight, and you'll have a bunch of little hairs and it won't be lasting long term. I suggest using wood glue. I prefer Well Bond. You can use Gorilla Glue, or DT has wood glue as well. I think we've covered everything now. Just make sure the drying time, the longer you let stuff dry, the better it will hold and seal properly. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I know we all get a little bit excited when we're making stuff, but just follow the directions on the back of your bottle. Now we're going to start from the skeleton, working our way up and down. If you ever have any questions, you ever get stuck, I'm more of a visual person, please don't hesitate and send me a picture on my Crafty Shopper page on Facebook. Do give me a little bit time to respond. I'm pretty good that way. Sometimes, if you've noticed lately, it takes a lot longer for me to respond on a lot of messages, just because I try not to live on my phone. Starting with the top, we're going to do 7 across. I'm going to move it up here. I'm going to work our way down. We're going to do 8 across. I'll glue that right like that. And I do the gluing part of these ones off camera. I just got a row stuck. Give me 1 second. Okay, the next row is going to be 9 flat. So I just realized I missed a row when I was counting, and that was this row. That's why I had to pause the camera there for a second and just make sure my count. So the total blocks is 140 because I missed the one row of 9. So we got 7, got 8, we got 9, and all of them are flat. Now we're gonna switch over to stacked, and it's gonna be 17 across. And you're just gonna keep centering them down. I'm gonna move to 18 flat, or sorry, 18 stacked. Now here comes the fun part. Now I'm just going to look right here, and this is just bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm just trying to figure out the middle part of the center here. So just going in the middle, going from the middle block on the top to be centered, and I'll tell you why in just a second here. So that'll be the middle of the face going down. So the next row, we are going to start off with 3 stacked. And the reason why I wanted the line there is to put it centered, so it's in the middle of this block, and 4 stacked, another 4 stacked, and we're starting with the eyes. And you're just gonna have this row right at the ends on both sides just sticking out a little bit. And you just wanna make sure it's even when you're gluing them to the piece together. We're gonna do another row, and it's gonna be 4 again stacked right underneath. Gonna do another 3 stacked, and another 4 stacked. So we've just built the eyes, and of course we can't do them round because we're dealing with blocks. We're gonna pull in number 10 flat. I'm just trying to get it in there. It can be down just a little bit. See what I'm at the center, and then this is the center. There's 5 on this side and 5 on that side. So you just kind of keep it centered. Now the next row is 2 7s. 1, 2 of 2 rows of 7 stacked. I kind of put my line there. And the next row is 4 flat and another 4 flat. And we're just gonna move it in. So now you're kind of going around the shape around the nose and the sides of the face. So you kind of get like a little box with another little box underneath. Next row is 15 stacked, and that's where the nose will end right there. Now here comes the fun part, guys. I'm gonna turn them this way. So you need 1 row 3 flat, another row 3 flat, and the exact same on the other side. I'm gonna glue those together, and you're gonna turn it this way, but we're not gonna just put it on yet. I'm gonna show you why. We're gonna do the exact same thing. We're not gonna add it yet. Gonna add 4 singular blocks. We're gonna kind of start right in the middle because I see this is the middle blocks, right? We're following it straight down. Gonna glue it right there. Gonna go on to the next one. We're gonna miss a block. The next block, you're gonna glue it right there. Ow. And then we're gonna glue another block right there. We missed a block. And No, let me rephrase that. I'm just trying to figure out here where we're at. Sorry, guys. Middle block. Yes, this is how we're going to do it. The middle block is centered, centered, skip a tooth. I'm not tooth, sorry, a block, just like that. So the spacing will be equal, right there, right there, right there. Then we're going to bring these two in and glue it just a little bit inwards. We're going to do that on the exact same side. So you have the proper spacing for here, 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 and here. If that makes sense, I hope so. Then we're going to bring, oops, another 4 pieces. So we're going to want to copy, and it might be easier to glue the next piece, these onto the next piece. Oh, I don't like that block. It has a little chip in it. Well, I guess you could have a chipped tooth. All right. So I'm just going to place these here, but I think it's better to glue them on the bottom piece when you attach this. And I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So you add those 4 pieces. Now we're going to go to 8 flat. So you're going to attach it right there. Make sure it's centered. Now with this piece here, you'd have to line it up because they're not going to line up evenly on the bottom. I hope that makes sense. We're going to move on to the next row. So that one was 8 flat. The next row is 6 flat. 5 flat. So this would be his face. So maybe if you just want to do his face, this is what you're going to get. But I want to move it down because I want to put it in a tray. This is going to be his neck. And his neck is going to be 8. I'm going to glue this together. And then when I let it dry, I'm going to let it dry a bit. And I'm just going to move it up because I don't want to move it up. I want to move it up a bit. And we're just going to add a little bit of a body to the bottom part of him. All right, now that I have it glued, we are going to add the bottom part, just the shoulders. It's not too big. I just want something that lifts it up. I just want to do the skull and leave it like that. So we do want it to have raised because the tray we're going to put it in, we need it up a little bit just to put little things around it, if that makes sense. And that will make sense later in the video. So the next row, we are going to start at 14 stacked. And we're just going to balance it out on both sides. Next row is 18 stacked. Next row is 19 stacked. Another row of 19 stacked. And if you notice here, both these rows are 19, but one's a little bit longer. That's just because the blocks are not exactly cut properly. And the last row is 20 stacked. And we're just going to finish him off right there. So I'm going to glue the rest of the blocks and I'm going to leave it overnight since it's near the end of the day now and just let it dry. Now that I left it overnight, I noticed my blocks shifted, and I think when I was moving it around a little bit. So I am going to take a file. First things first, sometimes through the blocks, little pieces of glue. You can get a buffing block like this in the hardware section from DT. And you just want to make sure that you get all that glue that comes through, because when you paint it, it actually shows. I have a nail file from DT. It's the coarse one. I'm just going to try to round the teeth, not make them so square. Gonna round them off. Just gonna round around the corners all the way around to here. I won't do the bottom part, but just along the edge, just so things are a little bit more round and easy to just so it's not pointy, because we're gonna do another step after we do that. Now that I have it all rounded, you don't have to do this next step. You can go ahead and create just from keeping them more square. As you can see, it looks more round. I went to town on the sides to make it more round. I have done in the past, I've done the spackle, which is dry text. I get it at Rona. I like using a sharp knife. And the good thing about doing this is you can fill in these little cracks here that are opening on the side. Sometimes they shift a bit, and it also, like, one block's a little bit shorter, and it just gives it a nice even look. So you just have to use a spackle. I like using this knife. And you can just go along the main surface of it. And if you want to go one step further and make it more round, so to speak, I guess. And this one's pink. I know Dollar Tree does sell spackle. I've never tried it. Some people said they like it. Some people they don't. So you could also try the one from Rona. Now, on the corners here, I want to make it more round. I'm going to do it this way. It's hard to do, showing you on camera. So when you do the in grooves, and it's just going to look messy, but that's okay. We're going to fix that up after. And like I said, you don't have to do this step. There's another step after we put it on. Now, when you are doing sides like this, because the in grooves are on a thicker, I guess, the inside there, the grooves are a little bit thicker, so I would suggest leaving it overnight. When you do it on just the surface, a good couple hours when it's totally white, you'll be able to see that it's ready. Even on the sides, when it does turn white, sometimes the inside of it's still not dry. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to leave it up overnight to dry. Now that the spackle's dry, there are some bumps and grooves, and this is where you have like the buffers from Dollar Tree and in the hardware section. This is just a buffing block. It's well used, but that's from DT. It was in the craft section, and this is just a buffer from the nail section. Now, when you're sanding it, it does get pretty sandy, dusty. I would do it outside if you can, in a well-ventilated area, just because it does get very dusty and it is particles. So I'm just going to do this outside, and I'm going to get them nicely sanded down. Now that I have it all sanded, I am going to give it a couple coats of just some white paint, and I'm going to do around the front, sides, and the back. Next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to use some, it's called black, lamp black chalkboard paint. It's a lot thinner than a regular paint. And I'm going to do it, sorry, excuse me. I'm going to paint around the inside of the eyes, the nose, and inside the mouth. I'm not going to try to make sure that I don't get it on the front part of the teeth. Now that I have it done, I know it kind of looks funny right there with the black. I'm just going to put in a little, I got some little trays here from cups that I use when I'm painting. And I'm just dabbed some white and some gray paint, and I'm going to blend it. I'm not a great blender for painting. I'm good with solid colors and adding touches and stuff like that. But distressing, I'm not really good with. I'm going to use my finger. I'm just going to show you a little bit, and then I'm just going to do the rest off camera. And I'm just going to start going around, distressing, kind of blending, and you can just keep going over. So if you figure you put too much on, I'm just going to go over all the front, the sides, and the back. And if you just want to put some more white, if you put too much gray in certain spots, you can just go right over. I'm just going to go around more, around the whole skeleton head. And I'm going to do the body as well until I got it blended the way I think it should look. So you can see that I went through with the gray just with my finger, and I'm going to go over now with the white and blend it some more. While the skeleton head is totally drying, we're going to start off. I wanted to do a hat, just to add a little something to it. So I just grabbed some DT felt. It kind of is in a shape of a jelly bean. I have 2 layers just because the DT felt is kind of thin. There's a little bit of white on there. Just make sure you have it nicely cut all the way around. I'm just going to tell you the measurements. We're looking at just over 9 inches by just slightly over 5 inches. And I'm just going to open it up here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue all the way around to seal it. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut a long piece of felt from the same roll. This is 1 foot, 12 inches, just over a bit. When I bent it in half, I just cut it on a little bit of an angle. Just gotta check here. Then you're just gonna go over to one side on the angled part. And you're just gonna put a little bit of hot glue all the way down the edge. And you're just gonna give it a minute to dry. Then you're gonna turn it inside out. And you're gonna notice that the back side where that point is a little bit taller, so I'm just gonna cut right across that point to make it level on top. I found it a little bit too tall, so I did cut it a little bit shorter. You want the wider part on top and the narrow side on the bottom. I'm just gonna hot glue it right down. I'm just gonna stick it on and find it a little bit center. I'm gonna do more of an oval shape on top, and I'm just gonna go along the line. We'll cover up the hot glue, but I'm just gonna hot glue it all the way around the base, right onto the bottom. So I end up putting another layer around the side of the inner one that I glued down, only for the fact that I just found it was too narrow and too small. I glued it down. Probably if you're good at sewing, I don't like sewing, so sewing would probably be better. You just gotta watch for the hot glue. I had a few little bumps here, but they're gonna be covered up. So now that we have it open, just because it is flimsy, I'm just gonna grab some polyester fill. I got it from DT. And just so the hat won't go flat or get indented, and it just keeps it. And with the 2-layer, just because the felt is thin, will also conceal the white that you put in there. And then the next thing we're gonna do, excuse me, is just put a top on it. So it's kind of like a big jelly bean. I just cut it down to size. I'm gonna lightly put hot glue around the lip of the top of the hat. And then just make sure you put your stuffing in first, and then I will just hot glue it on. I think it's actually just a little bit too big, but if I maneuver this around, and just like that. All right, we're gonna add one more thing to the hat. So we have it here, and I touched something with sparkles, and now I'm getting sparkles all over the hat. Just wanna add a trim around the base of the hat, and this is just from DT. And I'm just gonna hot glue it right along the edge. I'm gonna hide that little boo-boo that was on one side and do it all the way around. All right, so here's the finishing, my skeleton. Much blending as I was gonna do. I did switch it up with around the eyes. I just found if I didn't do the rounder circles, it just gives it more of illusion of round eyes instead of totally square. And did the inside except just the front part of the teeth here. It can be messy. It's a skull. This is the spackle side, so you'll know it's more solid. And I'm just going to show you the back. I didn't go to town on the back, but I just want to show you what the difference is when you don't put spackle on it, that the blocks are very uneven. And I found when I was trying to blend it, and I just played around on this side before I did the other side, I didn't come back to this side. No one's going to see the back of it anyways, but I just wanted to show you the difference. Now I want to put lights similar to the Jenga block Big Pumpkin, the light up one we did last year. So I want to do the same, except this time I'm going to add some battery operated fairy lights. Now these are from Dollarama and they're purple, and I thought I'd just do a different color instead of just the plain white. And I'm just gonna hot glue. I'm just gonna keep going around in circles around the eyes, around the nose, and around the mouth, and then I'll just keep doing it until I run out. Hopefully that, actually I'm gonna start it on the bottom. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna make sure, because I'm gonna conceal it in the tray we're gonna put it at the back. So I'm gonna put my battery case down here, and actually I'll just start gluing the opposite way. So I'll just glue this down and I'll start going from until I run out when I'm doing it all the way around. Now that I glued it on, I went around the mouth a few times, went around the eyes a couple times, and finished just on top of the nose. The best way to do it is always keep your lights on so you can kind of even them out a little bit so you can see it better with the lights on. Now, normally in the past, we've painted where I would have painted over the white so it blends, but you're not really going to see the back, and I'm not going to go that far today. I'm going to just show you what it looks like. Now, this is like the pumpkin. You need to put it on the back of something. So I'm just going to put it on the back of these that you can see the glow better than having it, say, in the middle of the room. I'm just going to shut off the light. And it lights up really nice. I'm just going to put this back on. Now, depending on what you have to put them on, you can leave it like that if you want. I'm just going to add this tray from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue him. I'm just going to use some Well Bond, or I'm not going to use hot glue. I'm going to use Well Bond, and then I'm going to hot glue just around after it's dry, just for an extra securing it to the tray. I'll just keep that battery pack in the back for now. Now, I am going to add a couple of these blocks. Now, there's 2 5s stacked on one another. You don't have to do this. You can use fluoroform. I'm just going to use the blocks, and I don't know my preference. I don't have enough, I don't think, fluoroform that I want to use. And just do 2 stacks like that. And I'm just going to use Well Bond and glue them on either side of the skull, because I want to put these candles that Dollar Tree came out with this year. I'm just going to cut this off. And I'm not going to glue them down because you have to turn them on from underneath, but I just wanted them more raised above the skull, just a little bit higher. And I'm not going to put those obviously on there right now, but I am just going to glue those blocks down when I glue the skull, and then I'm going to leave it for a good 6 hours. All right, now that I glued those on, I did paint the top part of the Jenga blocks just all the way around, as you can see here. Now, I was just playing around, and because, you know, just like the light up pumpkin, I'm just going to kind of hold it here like this. The light up pumpkin, that if you put it closer to the wall, it will shine brighter through the openings that you do in the Jenga block build. So for example, well, it's close to the ground now, but you're going like this. And this is just my board from one of the Jenga blocks, the swing one, I think it was the gazebo arches, whatever one we did back in the spring. And I just thought that would be a great idea to put a headstone in the back. So my plans kind of changed. Similar still going to do, but we're going to add something in the back. Now, of course, after work, I ran to Dollar Tree, and I found this one at Dollar Tree. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I found this one at the Dollar Tree. The only problem is with the hat being tall, I'm not going to use this one, but I just want to show you for height reasons. Now, if you don't add a hat, it would be fine. So this one's 16.5 inches tall. And then I went to, they didn't have much for the headstones, and then I ran to Dollarama, and I know this is not going to fit in the camera, so I'm just going to turn it sideways. So this one is actually 19 inches, and it fits perfect that you see that amount I'm just gonna turn it this way. I'm just gonna grab my ruler. So you see about that amount above with his hat. And then you also see this coming down. So it really looks pretty cool. The only thing I don't like is the skull there. So I am just gonna go over it. It's not gonna be really noticeable with the eyes. I'm just gonna pluck those little diamonds out. I am gonna paint it black. Now, the other thing when I posted it, playing around with it behind, is these white marks actually show through the face, and it shows the design and it's not even or anything like that. I'm gonna leave the rest like that, but I am just gonna paint this here black, and I am just gonna go over with the black coating on the face. All right, we're gonna move back to the hat before we attach the gravestone to the back of the skeleton. So the reason for floppy hat, I just like the floppiness instead of something hard, and it's a lot easier to play around with. I'm gonna add, I have these floral picks from DT and this more of a lilac color. I'm just gonna hot glue right on the side. And with the matching ribbon, I thought a bow tie would be really cute around his neck, and then it kind of gives you the definition between his head and his neck, body, etc. Dollar Tree had dog bows that you could stick on their collars. I guess cat ones too. It could be the same as a cat. So it actually matches. So the white and black buffalo plaid. I just took a ribbon from DT. I did cut the circle part off because it wasn't tight enough right across. And I'm just going to hot glue, but then I'm going to tie it around. Kind of gives it a, I guess, more of a little professional look, if you want to say that. And I'm going to glue the hat on right before we put the headstone on. All right, I'm going to tip it forward. Now on the back of the spacing, now it really depends on where I put it centered when I glued it down. So there was so much space in the front even. But I noticed when I put this in that I do have a little bit of a gap in between, and that's fine. You could glue it down, but I want to make it solid. I'm just going to add 2 blocks. Now it's just on the placement how you do it. And then when I actually stick the bottom part in the back, it actually sits up on its own. But what I'll do is once I glue those 2 blocks, I will put along the edge here, I will put some hot glue, and then I'll just hot glue it right on. I wanted to show you before I glued it on because I'm getting all excited here to finish the video. I just painted it black like I said, and I did a little bit of the white in between the cracks just to give it a little something on top. And if you don't want to add the blocks, you could just position the skeleton and just make sure you measure the size of your headstone first, that it could even it out. But like I said, the blocks are just optional. You could even put fluoroform as well. On the back, right here, I put extra hot glue. And your battery pack, you can glue the wire down. You don't have to do it all the way. You can glue it down to the part and it will just sit on the ledge like that. If you do want to glue it down, just make sure that you have the battery pack where it opens. And you can also use the ones from DT that have the plug-in one, just you'd have to add an extension cord. And with the backdrop against the skeleton, because it is wide enough, you do have a space, those lights would absolutely work. Now, I'm just going to move this one out of the way. In the bottom, I already said that I wanted to put the DT candles on both of the sides. I'm not going to glue those down. And then I just grabbed some floral picks. I know, I already took them off. I'm so excited to finish this. With the color, I could not find another stem of the lilac. They were sold out at a few of my Dollar Trees, so I'm pretty sad about that, but I'm just going to improvise with more of the black roses. I guess there's 5 on a stem. Now, some of the roses are not being too lovely, and they're from Dollar Tree as well. Some of them just are a little bit smushed. I'm not even going to put floral form in the base. I'm actually just going to hot glue them and cut the stems a little bit shorter, except for the two. I want to do the two right behind the neck where the V of the, almost like the V neck of the headstone, but you could just poke them right into the foam. And I want to have it more like, you know, when you go to a graveyard, you have all the flowers around it. The candles will be able to lift off just because you need to turn them on or off. Another thing I thought was funny that I did try were the eyeballs actually just sit not all the way in. And these are from DT as well. But if you use a white light, they actually just shine right through. So that's another option. And I'm going to put this little spider on its face just for a little something. I'm debating once I get this in, just on top of part of the headstone, I thought a gray bat just so it'd stand out some more. And if you're still watching my video, I always, when I go through, I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. So this is not exactly, I don't even know how it was going to turn out, but I kind of go with the flow when I'm making it. Different ideas come. So that's why I always say watch to the end of the video. Sometimes I add blocks. Sometimes I will tell you what to change. Now, there is something I'm going to tell you, and I'm just going to tilt it sideways here. What I would change. Now, the one thing that I would change, as I noticed when I was putting it together, the nose. Upside down. I should have had, instead of the opening on top, the smaller part should have been on top and the two open. All you have to do is switch that row. I don't remember what count it is, but when you are pre-gluing the layers, you will know what I mean. And make sure that you actually switch it around because it will be more, when you're looking at a skull, it's bigger on the bottom and smaller on the top. That would be the only thing, as well as, I'm just going to put it on an angle here, as well as the base. If you want it a little bit shorter to fit a DT headstone, I would go a layer or two shorter. That would bring it down. You wouldn't have to use the extra blocks on the side to lift your candles up, and that would bring it shorter, that you would be able to fit the 16.5, or even making your hat a little bit smaller if you want to add a hat. Now, if you don't add a hat, the DT headstones would work perfect. So I'm just going to finish it up here and glue some flowers. You can do any kind, even if you wanted to put some bones or whatever. Like, really, with any of my projects, any of them are really versatile, that you can put really anything you want. Use your imagination. I always love seeing everybody's recreations of my crafts because you guys are really, really talented, and it always surprises me some of the things that you guys come up with. Let me get those glued on, and we're going to turn the camera around and we're going to show you what it looks like finished. I'm going to add a couple more things. I'm just digging through some of my stuff. So I am just going to put a little bit of Spanish moss just in between some of the cracks, especially on the sides, just because they're not filled, and I don't want to put too much black on the sides. I got these ones while I was in California at the Dollar Tree there. I was super happy. And I think I'm just going to put Beware on a slant over the hat, and swap out the bat for that. Recently, I just found these, and I've never, well, maybe I didn't pay attention last year. Dollar Tree got these in here in Canada, and they're just centipedes, and I just really like the lilac one because that will match on the other side of the back of the coffin. I think it will match totally good with the flowers that I'm using. And it also comes in orange and blue color. Now, these are floral picks. I'll show you. And they're from Dollar Tree as well. Just some of the branches that they got in. And they came in with different colors. I just got the black. I cut them shorter. And I am just going to put them, poke them right into the foam on either side just to give it volume over the candles on each side. I'm going to do 3, I think. I've cut three for each side. I'm going to wear glitter for the next day. And then I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what it looks like finished. All right, guys, so here it is finished. I did add a little ghost. I had a little wood cutout that I just ended up painting white just for a little something on top. And I also just added some of the stems from the floral pick and just put a little bit of glitter with Mod Podge on it, just to give it a little something to sparkle. And let's see what it looks like with the lights on. All right, so the lights are on. The only thing I would do different is add lights to more top of the coffin. You'd have to do a separate probably string because you already have the lights already on the back of the skull. It was a last minute decision, but I think it still turned out really well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you do want a closer picture, you can also go on to my Facebook page, The Crafty Shopper, or it will be on my personal profile as well. Happy crafting and see you soon. Bye.